Where do you want to start? What was, in your opinion, what was the biggest thing that happened today?
Let's start in the Big Ten. I don't think it's the biggest thing, because I think Baylor, Texas Tech was the biggest thing. But if we start in the Big Ten, I'd like to start with Illinois. Something is wrong there. And I'm not totally sure what it is. I'm not sure anybody knows what it is. But, you just look at them, and they lose Andres Feliz from last year's team. He's a winner, right? Like, he's going to be a guy that, like, goes and scraps and will fight somebody for Ayo Donsumo. Like, they miss him, man. I really believe that. And I don't get why Illinois in all these games has to get down 15 points. I mean, they get bludgeoned on these runs. They get literally just like, they can't score and they can't guard anybody. And I'm not sure why, because their personnel is really good. Now,
we talked about it. EJ Liddell's out there, drilling threes because Kofi can't get out there.
They're kryptonite, right? Like a stretch big. And Illinois can flip that and crush them on the glass, which I thought Ohio State did a phenomenal job of rebounding, being physical. They frustrated Kofi today too. Like, Kofi at times was like, as Coach Painter used to tell me, he was emotionally drunk. He was emotionally drunk on the floor at times.
Did you see when he threw the ball down at the end? There was no way the refs were going to hit him with a tee, Rob, because they're scared of him. Honestly, I really think they're intimidated by Kofi, where if that had been you who had done that, they would have been like, they would have teed you up in a heartbeat.
Respect level that Eddie Hightower and Teddy Valentine had. They wouldn't have got me. But with that being said, I think about Ohio State, you've got to give Chris Holtmann a ton of credit, man. Their game plan was great. They were physical. Their traps were on time. They did a nice job on Ayo. I thought that Maryland really kind of, I don't want to say exposed, but I want to say set a playbook for how to guard him. Keep him left all game. Make him go to his left hand. On that handoff action they run all the time, man, jump it and bring him back to his left side so he can't go off the pick and roll. And Ohio State didn't necessarily do that today, but they did a nice job of containing him, and he missed some looks that he normally makes, I think. But I'm concerned about Illinois. I really am. There is something missing there, and I don't know what it is, and I haven't given him props yet. You mentioned EJ Liddell. That's the best I've ever seen him play.
He awesome.
I think he was excited to get back to Illinois. Yes. Basketball. It was impressive. They were really, really good, and to do that without a point guard, without CJ Walker, without Jimmy Sotos, it's pretty big time.
At some point, I want to do that of like maybe the best head coaches, and it's hard because you're going to do it and you're going to put like, obviously K, Izzo, Beard, like some of those guys were going to have the same, out of our top 10, we'll probably have 7 of the same 10. And we'll make a rule that you cannot have Painter in your top 10.
That's why? He's a top 10 coach.
Because you're not objective when it comes to him. He'll yell at you if you don't put him in there.
No, he won't. He literally won't. I know.
You're right. He probably wouldn't. He
told me before to not worry about like being too critical. He says just be honest. So I really don't think he would yell at me.
Well, listen, he definitely belongs somewhere in the back half of that top 10. He does. I mean, you can make a case for, I think Chris Holtmann, has he done it long enough? Maybe not. But I'm saying, like, who gets guys that get more with less? I think Chris Holtmann's got to be on your list with what he did at Butler and what he's doing now at Ohio State. I mean, like you said, he didn't have a point guard today. They did not have a point guard.
Doing looks like a fish out of water trying to handle the ball all the time.
He's not a point.
But, I mean, they found a way. They did. I mean, they're playing Musa Jallo, who's kind of been, he's a kid that reclassified. And he's been okay. But, I mean, he's
been hurt a lot, too. Yeah.
Been great. Seth Towns did good things in the first half. That's got to be encouraging. He's talented. That's the first time I've really seen him play, to be honest with you. And the step back and made some threes. He had a nice game.
He was Ivy League Player of the Year before he got hurt, missed 2 seasons. So, like, nobody's seen him in 2 years. But, we put him and probably shouldn't have. I moved him down the list a little bit, but our boy Borzello put him as, like, his top 4 or 5 transfer, maybe even higher than that in the country. And I think I had him probably, like, at 10 only because of the fact that you knew he wasn't going to come back the player that he was 2 years ago. I mean, he hasn't played in 2 years. All right, so Illinois, we're both worried about. I worry too a little bit, Rob, of like you said, Feliz, the guys that were like chipping the shoulder, tough, just good pieces, and then you bring in the Millers and the Curbellos that come in really thinking, oh, by the way, that when they were coming in, that Iowa wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? It was going to be their show.
Very valid point. I also see, like, they certainly play with a lot of swagger, but they talk a lot of shit and haven't backed it up this year.
They haven't done anything. They haven't done shit. We put him high in the preseason rankings based on Ayo being an elite player, which he was, he's one of the better players certainly in the country. I don't know. It's funny. So I did a mock draft last week, and I reached out to a bunch of NBA guys about Ayo because I just wanted to he's one of those guys that I really think is a lightning rod a little bit for NBA guys. Some guys love him, some guys don't. Initially, I had him closer to like 10 to 14, and a lot of guys I talked to said, hey, listen, I'm not taking him until 25.
I just wonder how well his game translates to the NBA. He's bigger and faster than right now. Can you make shots
right
over a bigger, more athletic defender? Can you still get to the rim when you've got dudes that are 7 foot coming over to pack that thing in the stands? Those are valid questions.
All right, so the other Big Ten game that I was surprised but not blown away by. I guess I was blown away a little bit just because of the way the game went and that it was never a game, was Minnesota at home 10 days later after getting blasted by Michigan, does the blasting this team and time. And Liam Robbins was terrific. Michigan, obviously, without Eli Brooks, a key piece for them. And I think Michigan's the type of team that needs everybody.
Defending Marcus Carr.
Right.
That's what he did in the first game for the first 25 minutes. He set the tone on him. And, I mean, he's an elite on-the-ball, off-the-ball defender. So they really – and also another ball handler and a guy that can make plays. Today they were just, that's a big-time loss for them in terms of a personnel piece. This was going to happen. I mean, the league is too good. Michigan had played really, really well this year, but it's not like a time to panic, I would say. I think you're right what you said about how Michigan's fans thought they weren't going to lose all year. And the league's just too good, man. It's like they didn't shoot well, they didn't play well. And, Marcus Carr, I thought, controlled the game and took great shots, made great decisions, made plays for other people. And like you said, Liam Robbins he's a stud, man. He's a really good player. And also when you play a game where you get blasted like that, and clearly Michigan is not 40 points better than Minnesota. You knew they were going to come out and really at least play hard. And they punched Michigan in the mouth early. It's really not surprising to me. I'm not surprised to see the way that went down today.
Well, you're not, because it happened at the barn. And can I give you some numbers? So Minnesota is one of those teams where you just can't get out of your head of how different they are at home and on the road. So I did a little research on my own and came up with the numbers about Minnesota in the Richard Pitino era. Are you ready for these? At home, just in conference games. Forget about non-conference, just conference games. Minnesota under Richard Pitino, 38-31 at home in the Big Ten, 14-55 on the road. How about that? Why, Rob?
I have no idea. I mean, they look like two different teams on the road this year. They play well at, I'm going to call it Satan's lair of college basketball, where I blew my knee out. They've been a different team, man. Marcus Carr has been different. They just, I don't know. I'd love to look at the shooting splits from home and away for all those guys in those years and see if they're, just not making shots, or if they don't, they've got to find a way to make it travel. There's something you've got to find a way, because you can make the NCAA tournament winning all your home games and losing all your road ones, but you're cutting hairs. Like, you've got to win a couple road. Make it easy on yourself. Don't make yourself sweat out Selection Sunday.
They're 4-0 at home this year, 0-4 on the road. So then I reached out to my boy Kenny Pomeroy and asked him. I said, "Hey man, like, is this? Can you run something for me? Can you run something for me over that period of the teams that have the biggest disparity from home and on the road in conference play?" So you ready? It's pretty good. Colorado, the biggest disparity since 2013-14, which is what we're looking at from when Richard Pitino took over. Colorado is 50 and 16 at home, 18 and 49 on the road. I'll give you a few others. This is good for just interesting. Louisiana Tech, number 2. Oklahoma, number 3. They're 47 and 19 at home, 21 and 45 on the road. Southern Miss 4. Northern Iowa 5. Sacramento State 6. Iowa State, not a big surprise there. 7. Oregon State 8. Akron, Drake, Stanford, North Dakota State, Minnesota 14, 13, Oregon 14, Florida State 15. So Colorado is the team with the biggest disparity. I get it, but I don't, especially to places like Colorado. Like, it's not like it's some great home court advantage, Rob.
Altitude, though.
Great point.
Altitude.
Great point. Yeah, that's right. And they give them more than 3 points when Vegas does it. They give Colorado more than 3 points at home. So that totally makes sense. So the next one would be Oklahoma. Pretty good home court advantage. Pretty good. Not elite level, but decent. You've been there, right?
Okay. The Lloyd Noble Center.
Yeah, it used to be great. When I went there a bunch when Blake Griffin was there, and it was terrific. Absolutely terrific then. It was probably pretty good when Trae Young was there as well for that year. But yeah, Minnesota's got to find a way.